Hey there, welcome to another episode of Let's Deal With It, and I'm your host, Mike Pickles. If you don't mind, I'm just going to take a halls here. I'm suffering from a bit of a cold. 'Tis the season, as you probably are too, and that is a nice little segue into my topic today. Today I want to talk to you about something that's affecting most of us. I know that from my friends and my family, and I just hear talking to other people. And that's something called we should be working smarter, not harder. So working smarter, not harder. And what does that mean? Well, let's get right into it. First question I want to ask you is, are you tired of working more than you're living? So are you tired of working more than you're living? I am, and I hope you are too. And that could mean things from working the night shift, working shift work, evenings, weekends, vacations, working through your kids' birthdays and ceremonies and celebrations. I mean, it's all the same thing, that we're working too much for somebody else, another organization, some business, as opposed to quality time for ourselves and our family. We're putting all this time, all this energy, all this money into somebody else that they're making and not us. So what do? Well, I'm not sure. First of all, why do we work like this? Like, why do we have that mentality, that 9 to 5 mentality? Why are we like working like drones in a beehive? Maybe it's because of the economy. Maybe it's because of society. Maybe it's because of that's the way you were brought up. It's your upbringing. It's all you know. Maybe it's your personality. That's just the way you're driven. I don't know what the reasons are about why we do that, but I definitely know that that formula is outdated. It's over. It's dead. It needs to be revamped. It needs to be recreated. We need to really change that shell the way it used to be, where you would graduate from high school, if you did. You go to college, university, you would get a job or a career, you'd get married, buy a house, have kids, or, one came before the other, whatever order you want to put it in. You retire at 65 and then you die. Pretty somber, isn't it? But that's what we used to do. That's what many of us are still doing. We're following that formula. School, work, retirement, die. What is that? And who are we doing that for? The 1%? The filthy billionaires rich that keep us on that treadmill? We're like rats in a maze. Why? Because that's all we know. So today I'm here to suggest something different. Not only different, but something better for you and for your family and for your future. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I'd rather do things while I'm young, while I'm healthy, while I still have energy and vigor and passion to do those things that I want to do. If you wait, and I've seen this with many, many people, if you wait till you're 65 or 70 before you do these things, chances are, well, you're obviously not as young, but chances are you're not as healthy either. And you don't have that same energy. And you may even have some limited physical conditions that you can't do the things that you want to do, that you spoke about, that you talk about when you were 30, 40 years younger. So do it now. You'll see that that's a common thread in all my videos, is do it now. You should be enjoying more time with your friends. You should be enjoying more time with your family. I don't know what that means for you. It could be hunting, could be fishing, could be camping, could be photography, could be traveling, working on old vehicles, collecting hockey cards. I don't know what it is. Reading more, volunteering more, whatever it means to you, you should be doing those things now, not when you're waiting. So, do you desire for something different? And I know from talking to people, and people that I know personally, that people do desire something different. This 9 to 5 rat race is done. We're finished. Let's move on to something else. There's a book here I read recently. Actually, I read it a couple times, but I read it again most recently. I don't know if you can see it, but The 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss. And obviously, it's going to be kind of hard to work 4 hours a week, but I do suggest that we could probably approach our MLAs, our mayors, our politicians, the government, and change things to a 4-day work week. A 4-day work week. If you think it's crazy, if you think it won't work, well, why don't we just try it? Because a 5-day work week is not working. It's old, it's past, it's old thinking. It's time to move into the future. 4 days a week. Will it work? Absolutely. How come? Well, just look at the way things are right now. Do your research. Do some research on a 4-day work week. It can work. Why is it that we go to work 9 to 5? Because we're always told to. There's no research behind it. There's no data behind it. There's nothing scientifically proven that it's effective, that it's efficient. Most times, you go to work 9 to 5, and if you're an efficient, effective worker, you could be actually done your workload by 2 o'clock, by 3 o'clock, by 1 o'clock. So what do you do with those extra hours? What do most people do with those extra hours? They sit around the office, socializing or pretending to be working, or they're working on another project, like a personal project, looking for maybe even looking for another job, or they're not even at work. They've already left the building, sneaked out the back door. So you're paying for them, you're paying these employees, and they're not even there. Is that working? Also, this 9 to 5, what's happening to people? They're getting burnt out. They're getting burnt out. So when they're not at work, you're paying for their wages or their salary, and you're paying for a substitute. You're paying for someone to come in, a relief, a casual, someone to step in and work while they're not there. So you're paying for 2 salaries. Is that effective, efficient, economically sound? Absolutely not. And those people that are there, let's say you worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4-day work week. Those 4 days, that person, I know I would be a lot more passionate about being at work because they just had 3 days off with their friends and family and time to relax and pay bills and get things done, do some yard work, or whatever they need to do. They've had time to do it, to recharge. So when they go back to work on Tuesday, they're ready to go. And I guarantee you that in those 4 days, they will get more done than people do in 5. Try it. We have nothing to lose, but we have a lot more to gain. So I propose that everybody out there, I suggest that you push, speak to your mayors, your MLAs, anybody you can that will listen and go towards a 4-day work week. And there's other ways you can do that on your own. I mean, if you start your own business, and with technology today, online, internet, it's a lot easier than the past. But if you start your own business, you can dictate your own hours. Now, I know that when you start your own business, that is hard in the beginning. It might even be hard for a while. So you might go from actually working a 5-day work week to 6 or 7. However, it's your own business. You dictate what hours you want to work. You dictate how many days you want to work. If you work 12 days and you make, let's say that week, you make $100,000 in that week, some businesses do, it comes to you. You pay off your bills, etc. But what you put out, you get back. When you're salaried in another position and you work 80 hours a week, you don't get paid for it because you're salaried. Doesn't matter how hard you work or how hard you don't, you get paid the same. And that's the other problem with that formula. Some people are working really hard and they get paid for it. There's other people, they're barely working at all and they still get paid for it because they're salaried. So another way might be you work part-time. You might just decide, I want to work part-time, 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week. And the other 20 or 25 hours a week, you do your own business. You do something that you're passionate about, something that you enjoy. So when you go back to work during that part-time hours, you're not burned out. You're refreshed, you're rejuvenated, you're got so much energy and passion because you're doing something that you really, really loved for the other 20, 25 hours a week. Another thing you could do is an easy one you could do. I say easy, but sometimes it's not because we're so used to things the way they are, but cut down on your living expenses. Do you need that giant house with 6 bedrooms, but yet you only use 2 of them? What are the other 4 for? It's just wasting time, energy, money, expenses, heat, lights, power. Okay, so cut down on that house. Do you need 2 cars or 3 cars? Could you carpool? Could you drop off the husband and wife and just use 1 car? Could you get a bicycle? Could you walk? I don't know. Are there things in your house that you can sell? Maybe you have a boat that you haven't used in 5 years. Maybe you have an RV or a camper or a trailer that you haven't used again in 2-3 years. It's sitting in the parking lot, you're paying bills, you don't use it. So if we downsize on our living expenses, then you don't need that $100,000 job because you don't have the same bills. Let's say you're getting by on 60,000, but you're happy. Why do you need a $100,000 job? Because you're paying off all those bills, all those expenses. You don't have to live high on the hog. Sometimes we do because we want to compare ourselves to our neighbors or our friends or our family. Get rid of that mentality. So today's episode, and as you can see, I'm a little sick myself, maybe from working too much, and I know a lot of you out there are as well. So I suggest that you work smarter, not harder. Now, if you like today's video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I will return that comment. Make sure you share, especially with someone that you think needs to hear this message. So my recommendation today, my suggestion, my advice to you, or my challenge, is that you work smarter, not harder. And on that note, let's deal with it.